Welcome to another Geekish podcast. I feel like we should have some fanfare.
Oh, you're dancing in finger guns was pretty close, though.
I'm Derek, joined with
Bino.
And we're gonna talk geeky to you, or nerdy, or
Talk
something.
geeky to me? That doesn't sound like ring to it. Sounds almost creepy.
Talk
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you do this on a regular basis. We like to give you something that you can listen to that doesn't take a whole lot of thought process to go on. You know, it's just enjoyable. We just talk about things that ramble through our heads. And some people would, be ashamed of their inner workings, but no, we just lay them out on the table and here you go. And we decided this week we are going to talk about some of the underrated movies we enjoy. I'm not going to get into arguments over what is the best underrated movie or the most underrated movie, but movies that we really love that a lot of people either never saw or didn't give too much credit to.
I was gonna say we're not gonna dive into the whole like metrics of it. Of actually, that movie made this much money, so it's not really underrated. We're gonna, because we've all had the conversation where we go up to somebody and we're like, hey, have you seen this movie? They're like, what movie? Like, what? How have you not heard of this? Where you think it's big because you really like it and everything like that, but some people haven't heard of it. Now, you were telling me a story right before this one of Empire Records, which I didn't know people had not heard of. Mm-hmm. So
I feel like to me that is an underrated one in the sense that most of the people that I know in my generation, Empire Records was a staple of life for a while. Great soundtrack, great actors, great comedy, fitting 90s movie, and it was like it was the movie. It was okay, this is perfect. But I think if you were outside of my particular demographic, it's not really that big a deal. It was some teen stoner comedy out of bands, whatever, carry on. Nobody wants to see anymore. Right. And I've run into more and more people now that I'm working with a lot of people that are further outside of my generational bubble. I bring up things like Empire Records and I get the weird looks like what movie are you talking about? And the only sale big, that one that had that Aerosmith singer's kid in it. Yes, that one.
You mean the one that went on to do Armageddon and Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. But I mean, to this day, that's got one of the best soundtracks ever, and I make it a point to at least once every couple of Rex Manning days to put on Empire Records and watch it again.
Well, I feel like, because I mean, I've seen the movie. You had to explain to me Rex Manning because I totally spaced it. So I feel like maybe that keeps it. Well, no, because I guess that's still kind of underground because a lot of people had no idea. So, well, you got all shiny there.
Thinking about Rex Manning, Dave.
So, yeah, apparently. So, I mean, I guess there could be a lot of indie movies that we've seen classified as that, but for one, to me, that sticks out is this movie right here behind me is guilty pleasure of mine. We've talked about it in some of the worst movies that are actually good movies, something like that. I still think it's underrated. It's still enjoyable, and that's Waterworld. A huge money pit of a movie, but still, it's. I've talked to people about it, and they were like, "What's Waterworld?" I'm like,
oh. I watched Waterworld once back in like middle school or high school or something like that. So I can't even recall if it was good or bad. I think the biggest downfall of Waterworld was how much hype it had going into it. With the amount of money spent on the making the movie and the marketing, that it was everyone just wanted to hate it and wanted it to fail because there was so much money dumped into it that it was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And Kevin Costner was in a few too many movies. Like he was almost Gutenberg-esque about that time of his life.
He was, I think, he was the, like, what, Chris Pratt of the 90s, or, one of the actors that is really hot right now type of thing. Because he was in a lot of them. I mean, again, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves might be underrated now. It wasn't then, I don't think, but, it's still one of the movies that I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Another movie that, when we were looking at underrated, the list that popped up for me was Locke, that has Tom Hardy in it. The whole premise of the movie is he's in a car driving from one place to another and just calling different people trying to figure a certain thing out. I don't want to spoil anything or anything like that.
Mm.
Fantastic movie. Brilliantly acted. He's the only one basically in the movie. Yes, there's other voices, but it's one of those ones where I think a lot of people, since it has an A-list actor in it, but since it wasn't in blockbuster movie, kind of fell to the wayside.
Mm.
Same with Buried with Ryan Reynolds, where he's buried in a coffin. So those little niche movies are pretty good.
One of the other ones that I just popped in my head a second ago was Best in Show, the dog show comedy. Yeah, that one.
Such a good movie.
I want to say Best in Show and Death to Smoochie were probably two of the most underrated comedies that came out in a decade or two.
Well, Death to Smoochie was, I think it fell flat because people weren't expecting it to be a dark comedy.
That is true. They were expecting to be like
they had,
a Robin Williams kid-friendly, yay!
Yeah, because it had Robin Williams in it, Edward Norton. You're like, okay, it's satirical and it's dark and it is funny. Mm-hmm. And you end up leaving. You're like, all right. And I think that's the thing with, some of Robin Williams' other work that's not, the family friendly things like Insomnia, or no, 1 Hour Photo. That's what it is. Okay. Actually, both of them. Both of those movies, like, he does a fantastic job, and I think they're very underrated for that aspect because it's not his comedy.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. I was very let down on side note tangent. I watched Uncut Gems last week, the Adam Sandler movie.
Like it?
No, I got like every person I know has been telling me what an amazing movie it is, and we sat through it. I'm like, what on earth did we just watch?
I'll have to tell you, like, there's parts of it where, the movie was very well done. Adam Sandler did a great job acting in it, and there's parts of the movie that, that whole scene of where he's trying to get the rock and everything like that, and it's just like you feel the claustrophobia of it. But yeah, I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. I do think he probably should have gotten nominated at least because he did a fantastic job. And that's the same with Punch Drunk Love, right? The other serious one that he did.
Well, because I will say that movie, the acting was good. I can't fault that. But the whole premise of the story, like, you just it was like watching people fight and make bad decisions for 2 hours, and then everything goes to crap, and the movie's over. You're like, great. It just sounds like a horrible, horrible family reunion full of drunk people and drug deals.
Well, I think that's why. Well, I think that's one reason why you couldn't get into Breaking Bad. It's true. It's the same thing of, like, you're watching these people make these horrible decisions, stuff like that, and I think that's why maybe.
I like to have somebody to root for in a TV show and or a movie, like somebody that either I can identify with or somebody I hope wins. Like,
not somebody with a gambling problem that is in debt to somebody.
That was the tough thing, even getting into Game of Thrones. Like, had I tried to just watch Game of Thrones on a weekly, monthly basis whenever it was coming out, I could not have done it. Like, I had to binge through the first 3 seasons in a matter of weeks to get into the story enough to care what's happening. Because that was another one too, where most of the time you're just like rooting for the characters to die. Like, you're a horrible person. I hope you don't make it to the next episode. Sweet, just got eaten. Cool. Who else is awful that needs to die? All right, poisoned. Cool. Here we go. Like, it's tough. But they wove enough into Game of Thrones that you'd start to root for somebody because they'd change, or their character would do something that was seemingly good, and you're like, I can root for this person, and then they pull that rug out later down the show. But the Breaking Bads and the Uncut Gems, you're just like, wow, you're just a horrible person, and your people are horrible people, and they're horrible people, and we're all shooting each other. Okay, cool. Maybe I'm a cynic. This is why I watch movies with talking robots and flying fairies and spaceships.
Speaking of talking robots, I think Chappie is underrated. I've very much enjoyed that film.
I did too. It was nothing what I expected it to be.
No, it's it's by the same guy that did Elysium as well, which I also think is kind of underrated. Again, because I don't know if it's people don't appreciate the story arcs, or they don't appreciate that director Blomkamp or whatever his name is. But Elysium, with Matt Damon in it, and then of course Chappie with Hugh Jackman and the Antwoord. Both those movies I think deserve a lot more credit than they actually get for what they're for.
Well, Chappie was great because it was so character driven, and
Mm-hmm.
you have this animated robot that has this quirky personality that you just are the whole time you just like fall in love and you're rooting for this poor little thing.
Well,
And I was not
relate
expecting
to
it.
it. Maybe we relate to it because we grew up with Short Circuit. So
that is true. That's like a Mad Max version of Short Circuit, isn't it?
yeah, it's very much so. Very much so.
Okay, how about this one for an underrated movie? Did you ever see Saved?
Yes.
Saved, I think, it was one of the. I love that movie.
Well, and I think that's another one of those movies that came out, didn't really do well, and then kind of got that cult following behind it, where it's picked up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think part of that was underrated because it made a lot of people mad because it certainly took a lot of super religious people and put some of the things of the not so nice religious people right in the crosshairs, and it didn't mince words with anything with it, and it definitely ruffled some feathers. But was it Jenna Malone in that one? A couple of and
Mandy Moore and God, I just forgot his name. Kevin McAllister.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
and you see the cast of characters and Mandy Moore, she's like the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't be like, what? She's little good Mandy Moore's the villain. But I think it was a very witty, smart, and poignant comedy that you could read a lot more into if you wanted to, and you didn't have to if you didn't want to. Like,
well, and I think you nailed it on the head. It fell flat because it touched on some topics that were very taboo back when it came out, type of thing. But the story's great, the acting's great, the characters are great. I think people need to give it another try, especially if they haven't seen it, or maybe they watched it once and went, "Nah, I'm not feeling this," type of thing.
Well, I feel like it too. Like, it was a very, how do I say this, realistic movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that there's stuff that's over the top that's in there, but a lot of the storylines and story extra stuff that I very much knew people that were going through similar situations in some way or another. So I think a lot of people thought it was just, somebody made up all these horrible stories put together, but it was a very realistic depiction mixed in there with some of the stuff. So it was a good time.
So on a different route, in the mid 2000s, when like the raunchy comedies were huge and everything like this, one movie kind of came and went, but I think it's very underrated, and I think it deserves some, I don't know, more light than it has, and that's Sex Drive, where that guy was chatting with a girl and he ends up like stealing his brother's car, who's his brother's Cyclops from the X-Men.
James Marsden.
Yeah, thank you. To go meet him, and they just have like weird adventures on the way there, and I think that it was not too over the top raunchy like some of the movies that came out around that time were. So, and it was very smart in some of the aspects and had some redeeming arcs that I think that one doesn't get as much attention, because I saw you go, did I see that?
I think I'd say, but my, I don't want to say problem with it, but it was very similar to a handful of movies that came out around the same time. So I bunched them all together, and I can never remember which one is which.
I think that's one reason why it kind of got just pushed to the side.
Yeah, because if I remember, that one was actually a pretty solid movie. Mm-hmm. But I think back to it, and then I see that, and then I see part of that, and I see part of Road Trip, and then I see part of, was it the Girl Next Door, and a whole bunch of movies. Overnight Delivery and a bunch of other ones that all have like kind of similar premises, and my brain just lumped them into like one movie and goes, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's very cliche, very predictable type of thing, but I don't know, there's just something about it in my mind that kind of separates it from like the Wedding Crashers and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Would you say that, I don't know if would you say Bring It On is underrated?
Yes. There is no way you could have told me the movie about cheerleading was going to make me smile as much as Bring It On did. But
It's so good. It's one of those movies that I still really enjoy, and honestly, it kind of what you had Bring It On. I haven't seen the sequels because I heard they were
probably for
trash.
the best.
Right, but then you had kind of like you had Stick It, which was about gymnastics, that kind of followed that same thing, which was Stick It was actually pretty decent.
Oh, really? I never saw Stick It.
And then you had Fired Up, which went the raunchy comedy where the two guys joined cheerleading camp. They were supposed to go to football camp, but they're like, no, let's go meet girls type of thing. But they have the redeeming arc. It's over the top, but those kind of ones where you look at it and you're like, but Bring It On still, we're all toros, man.
Some toros in the atmosphere.
Mighty toros.
And that movie was one I didn't want to like. I got drugged to see it with some friends in high school. I don't want to go see a cheerleading movie. Walked out like, that was awesome. Like, thank you for making me come to this.
Well, I think that was the premise too. Well, I mean, we thought it was a cheerleading movie. I was kind of intrigued because for some reason I don't know why choreography in general just like mesmerizes me. So I remember seeing like the trailer and it had that. I was like, I kind of want to see that. And I was not disappointed. It was so funny. And it still is.
Okay, I have another movie that most people I know have either not seen it or don't remember seeing or didn't necessarily like it. Was not the recent King Arthur, because that was a garbage movie, but the King Arthur that came out in 2004 with Clive Owen.
Yep, I remember it. It was okay.
He was Arthur. Keira Knightley was Guinevere in it.
Yeah.
It's not historically accurate by any means, but for some reason that movie I can just watch over and over again and get super enthralled in it the whole time.
You didn't like the new Guy Ritchie one?
No, it was awful. It was
the Clive Owen one was okay, if I remember. Well, again, that was the whole that came out. Alexander came out. What was it? The Last Kingdom or whatever that had
Orlando was the same thing. They had a whole bunch of ones that were very similar to it.
Yeah,
but that one specifically, like I don't know what it is.
If I remember correctly, the Last Kingdom with Orlando Bloom was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Man, now my brain's going. Oh yeah, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the younger generation of folks don't have the same memory that we do when we're looking through the video stores and stuff like that, because the streaming titles, it's just not the same scrolling through Netflix or Vudu or Amazon or something like that. It's cool to see them, but they always change the pictures and do stuff, and you're almost like, that's not what the cover of the movie looks like. Why'd you do that? But I love having the stack of movies I've got in my basement. It's like a wall full of DVDs, and every time I go down there, I could just start thumbing through, and you just like go through memory lane. You're like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, and that movie too. I haven't watched that in a long time, and it just makes me happy.
Well, and there's no risk either. They don't have the risk that we did back then, because back then you had to go to the movie store. You spent time picking out the movie. A lot of the times, I don't know about you, but I judged it off the cover. If I hadn't heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
You go up, you spend money on it. You go home, you start watching it, you're like, oh, this is trash, but you have to finish it. Nowadays, you're streaming, you're like, oh, this is trash. Stop. Go to something different.
Mm-hmm. Or I can't say that I haven't been watching a movie, and you get half an hour into it, and there's my brain, like, once I've put enough time into something, I want to know what happens. But now it makes it easy. Like, I'll just skip 4 or 5 chapters and see what happens. Oh, okay, they turned up with a good guy. Okay, cool. I said, whatever, I'm done.
Speaking of Netflix, I think this movie's still on there. It's underrated, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. Simon Pegg, and it's Hector in the Search for Happiness. Fantastic. I don't think it gets enough credit. I don't think a lot of people have actually heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those like movies you're watching. It has the humor and it has the heart in it, and you're like, at the end, you're like, all right, kind of changes you just a little bit.
I feel that way about Big Fish.
Mm-hmm.
That was one that
people did not like that movie.
Yeah, I felt like that was almost like a life-changingly good movie, and it just kind of came, and me and my friends were all excited about it, and then it kind of disappeared, and now it's like people are like, oh yeah, I remember that came out like the 90s or something, but Big Fish, solid movie.
Came out in 2003.
Is it 2003?
2003 or 2004. It still makes me cry at that ending.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is I think it kind of came and went because it wasn't that dark Tim Burton that people knew. It was a quirky Tim Burton that people weren't used to yet,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, that's I would say that's underrated.
Mm-hmm. How about Stardust?
Is that Brendan Fraser? No, that's
Uh,
Inkheart. Brendan
yeah,
Fraser's in Inkheart. Stardust is the one with De Niro, right?
yes.
Okay.
And wow, I can't think of her name. She was Catwoman.
Which Catwoman?
The '90s Catwoman.
Not Nicole Kidman.
Oh, this is gonna kill me. Because Claire Danes was the Fallen Star, and then the
I could see her.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer.
She was in, I was gonna say she was in the Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. But Stardust, or the book afterward, we liked the book too. But that movie was one that was so unexpectedly good, like just a feel-good, fun, modern fairy tale. Like,
yeah, it was. I would say like,
and the twist with De Niro's space captain once they finally get inside his quarters was like, oh wow, that's.
I would say, one movie you made me think of it just now because I said Brendan Fraser. One movie that's you hate, but I think is underrated is Monkey Bone.
I never saw Monkey Bone.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, you're thinking of Drop Dead Fred.
Oh, that's a good movie too.
Yes, I didn't really like Drop Dead Fred, but
same with Problem Child. But anyway, Monkey Bone, I think is a lot of people hated it just because it is so weird, and the Monkey Bone character is kind of annoying. But like, I don't know, it's very interesting, and it's classic Brendan Fraser. So not action Brendan Fraser, but comedy Brendan Fraser.
You want a good movie that is something that would not normally be down my wheelhouse, but I really enjoyed. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Oh yeah, I remember our friends were telling us about that.
It's like a Korean spaghetti western. It's based on The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, but it's this just Korean movie. I think it had the subtitle or dubbed version. I don't remember, but it is a really enthralling movie. And after the first time I watched it, I wasn't even sure exactly what happened the entire time, but I wanted to watch it again. Like, it's just very, very creative storytelling, and the visuals that go along with it. Like the whole, it's movie critics would probably hate me for it right now, but it just, there's something about it that just really, really made it good.
Do you remember Kung Pao? Into the Fist?
I never actually watched it.
You own it.
It came free as a package of the first 5 movies. When I signed up for Vudu back in the day, I got 5 free movies, and that was in the pack of 5 free movies, and I still have yet to watch it.
Dude, I think that's underrated. It is so stupid, but I remember watching it with my parents when it came out. And the reason it sticks in my mind, and I think one of the reasons, it has stupid humor in it, which I appreciate, but like actually hearing my dad and my mom laugh at this movie made me go, okay, there's something about this. I mean, the premise is so stupid, but that's one I think if you like stupid humor, you need to give it a try.
I feel like one of our future episodes, we should just go through some of the best dumb comedies.
Yeah,
because there are some movies out there like that, like Dude, Where's My Car?
Mm-hmm.
The premise and everything about that movie says that should be a horribly stupid movie. I adored that movie so much. But you have to go into it knowing what you're getting into. Like, this is a dumb, like, stoner comedy type movie. Like, if you do that going in, if you're expecting some sort of highbrow independent theater comedy release that makes you think, no, not going to happen. It's sight gags and puns and visuals and witty banter and
well, now, guys, you just keep saying stuff that keeps making me think stuff. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, I made you guys watch The Fall, which is
was that the one with
the girl. Yeah, the girl in the hospital who is getting told a story and everything like that, and just the different ways that it goes through is just so interesting. So if you like visually stunning and good storytelling, I'd say go that route. It's a little long, but
another one that I haven't watched in a long time. One of the first subtitled movies I ever managed to sit through and enjoy was Run Lola Run.
Oh yeah,
and there's almost there's not even much dialogue in that movie. Like a lot of it is literally just paced timing and edits of going through stuff, and it's, for me, phenomenal. Some people don't like it, but I feel like that was, if we're talking about movies that people are trying to look for something to watch that they've never seen before, give that a shot.
And speaking of subtitled movies, you had Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I don't think that's underrated at all. I think the movies that came out after that one are underrated. So you have House of the Flying Daggers and Hero, Jet Li's Hero. I think those two movies, they are as equally visually stunning as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I think better story, in my opinion, than Crouching Tiger. See, because Crouching Tiger, to me, everybody was like all about it. I was like, it's okay. I saw House of Flying Daggers and I saw Hero. Much better films, in my opinion, but they kind of fell to the wayside because everyone was like, "Oh, they're trying to copy Crouching Tiger." I'm like,
See, I never watched the sequels because I watched Crouching Tiger and I didn't like it. I thought the same thing. Like people were raving about it, like this wasn't even that good of a movie, and I couldn't get over. That was a huge thing at that time. Movie making was doing all the rope tricks for martial arts, and it looked so ridiculously fake to me that it made me like physically angry when I watched the movies. Yeah, because every time there was a fight scene, you're just like, seriously. You're doing like a 37 backward flip, so you kick the guy in the head. Like, no, really?
Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to correct you. House of Flying Daggers and Hero aren't sequels.
Well, not sequels, but I mean, you said the similar type movies and things like that.
That genre.
Yeah, the genre. Because once I saw Crouching Tiger, I thought, oh, I might like these movies. And because of how much I did not enjoy Crouching Tiger, anything that was remotely down that, I was.
Oh man. What about Pan's Labyrinth? Have you seen that?
I've actually not. I've seen pieces of it, but I've not seen the whole thing all the way through. It's on my list of ones that I still want to see, but
it's another subtitle-y kind of movie. Here's the thing: is a lot of people talk about it mainly because of the creature, but it's funny. The people who are like, "Oh yeah, that has a creature," I'm like, "Yeah, it's a great movie." They're like, "Oh, I haven't seen it." What?
I'm one of those two, apparently.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's. I don't know. I would say maybe in that aspect it's underrated because a lot of people just know the creature works from it and not actually the movie. And I think it's fantastic. It does need to be seen by people.
I got one more because we should probably let people get back to their lives, and they've got a whole list of stuff to watch now.
There's a whole bunch of movies in my head, so yeah, we should wrap it up.
One other movie that I remember watching and not expecting anything from and walking out going, "That was awesome," was Finding Neverland.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
The Johnny Depp movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Again, that one, tissues, you need them.
Yeah, you got to have them in there for it. And I read the premise of it, and like, this is going to be a stupid movie, whatever. And then wife wanted me to watch it. We watched it, and I'm like, this was really good. We have to go buy this movie right now. So if you've been paying attention for the last half hour, you can go back, take some notes. You have a whole laundry list. You've got like 2 or 3 weeks of quarantine to fill with movies, and let us know what you think of these.
And they're also totally different spectrums of the movies.
Oh yeah, those are all we went all over the place. So no matter what you like, you'll find something in there that'll be good for you. But now you can let us know if the movies we think are underrated are truly underrated, or whether they actually are trash and we're just weird.
Well, I mean, we already know we'd like some trash movies. So
speak for yourself.
All right, Mr. Feebles. All right.
Let us know at Geekish underrated movies, the ones we talked about. Go watch them. Tell us what you think, or what's a movie that we might not have seen that we would probably love. Let us know at Geekish.
There's tons of underrated movies that I know people are just so adamant about. Like people have talked to me about Sunshine, and I haven't seen that yet, and I want to. So, and that was actually on one of the underrated lists. So there you go.
The movie's not like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. The movie's like, nobody's seen this movie, but it's like life changing. That's what I want. I need to find some more of those because I've I've been let down by a lot of the new movies that I've watched as of late. I feel like Hollywood's let me down. So I need some classic good stuff to go back to.